CFGG Game Cast, episode number 187, a weekly podcast created by gamers and streamers who like to discuss the latest gaming topics from the previous week. We stream a new episode every week and release it on podcast services like Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Podbean, and so much more. So show us some love, give us a follow, a like, a comment, what have you on any podcast services out there, or go to our main website, freaksandgeeks.com, to not miss an episode. I am Mr. CFG Games himself, Davis Green, and with me today, I have my co-host here, Lex in the second seat. What is going on, my cyborg?
I'm in a hurricane watch. Just debating on, if I need to blow up our air mattress just in case for emergency purposes. I lived in Houston, so I'm pretty used to hurricane watches and all of the stuff you got to do beforehand. But because we have essentially like an underground city here, and I don't think a lot of people know that.
Y'all have an underground city here?
Yes. So we have such an intricate drainage system because we don't get enough rain for our soil to just soak it up. So we get immediate flash flooding, even if it's just a drizzle, and like especially near UNLV, where the wetlands are. And so a lot of our drainage systems for flooding will go into the wetlands, which unfortunately, if someone is swept away, that's where you will find them once the water clears. But we have an intricate drainage system for all of the casinos. And so it is a huge, like a lot of people live in the drainage system who are homeless or choose to be homeless, because there are a lot of people who've been interviewed for like documentaries and they hang out down there. But because they have stuff, it's going to get in the way of the drainage system. So they're more concerned about flash flooding because we're not going to have the drainage that's properly there to do its job, more or less. But yeah, the underground city is pretty cool.
That's crazy.
I've gone once or twice. Yeah. So just been hanging out. I played 6 hours almost of Texas Chainsaw Massacre the other night. I did a surprise Friday because I'm still getting over COVID. So I was playing games this week and I was streaming it on Discord, but not on Twitch, just because I was in PJs and I just wanted to be comfortable. But we did stream it on Friday. It was great. And we had a lot of fun. I'll get into it because that is one of the main topics. I had a blast. It was interesting. And again, we'll get into it. But how have you been, buddy? What's been going on over there? I know you're not in a hurricane watch at the moment.
No, definitely not. Thank goodness. Man, the last hurricane, if I remember correctly, that Dallas really has ever gotten or close to gotten was
Rita?
Rita was more into Louisiana side, but we never really got it in Texas.
After Rita, because Rita got hit. They
Katrina?
Houston. Katrina.
Maybe Katrina.
No,
but
it was Katrina hit Louisiana, then Rita hit Houston.
Yeah, but Rita wasn't
back to back.
Was Rita really even that hard though? Rita really wasn't even that bad comparatively to.
It was the winds that were real bad.
Yeah.
It knocked down like 50-foot trees and stuff.
So the one that I remember that was really bad for Texas was Andrew, and that was in the 90s. Because Andrew was the one that destroyed like a lot for like Galveston and stuff like that here in Texas. Yeah, so I definitely will say it. But overall though, I mean, I had a really good week. Like I said, don't you worry about hurricanes over here most of the time. Usually you have to worry more about heat and tornado, but none of that this time around. But I've been just in the world of Baldur's Gate, man. Like I'm playing like 4 different scenarios with different friends and stuff. Like last night, I think I did like a 5 hours just with one of my really good friends, and we're just messing around and going through the story and lore and everything, and just loving it, man. It's great. I love the fact that there's a structure of the story, but the story is so open-ended that when you talk to a different person that's outside of who you're playing it with, could have a completely different experience to what you're doing, and that's what I love about that, man. Like the choices that you take and stuff like are permanent, and like it's just so good. It's just so freaking good. I just don't even know how to really I can't iterate it enough that this game is probably my game of the year. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a good one. We need to play it again, but like I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, don't know what's going to be happening because I mean, man, this week is going to be crazy with new games, and then also I know it's just going to get more ramping up, especially until
Yeah,
what's it called
October.
yeah, and when Starfield comes out, it's ridiculous. Wesley's asking on YouTube, is it like Divinity Original Sin 2? It is way better than
It's
what
more
Divinity Original
intricate.
Sin. Yeah, it is way more
Yeah.
intricate than the Original Sin 2.
Well,
Like
and I played Divinity Original Sin 2 with another couple. So it was me and my partner, Dust, and then my friend Shane and Sarah. And we were playing that. I would say about 4 hours in, both Sarah and I were frustrated with how long the boys were taking as far as making choices. And we never touched it again, just because of out of frustration. But I would say
wow.
Boulder's Gate is definitely it's more intricate. There's more moving pieces, and it doesn't feel, I felt like in Divinity I was going somewhere and then having to go back and then going back out into the field and then coming back to the city, and I haven't felt that with Boulder's Gate.
Mhm.
Granted, we're only a few hours in with the group that we were playing with, Dust and Davis. And I know Dust has his own, so you guys all have different matches with different people. So
Mhm.
but I listen a lot when he's playing, especially if I'm in the office working, and I haven't really felt that he's having the same experience that he did with Divinity. So I would say he's
Oh,
having a better
it's
experience
a
for
night
sure.
and day difference with Divinity. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Well, and
Divinity
there's a
Original
dice
Sin,
roll.
yeah.
Divinity didn't have a
Yeah,
dice
Original
roll.
Sin 2 is a good game, but like yeah, this is more the closest game I've ever seen for a true D&D campaign. I mean, there's things
Yeah,
that don't make it that you can't really, call it a D&D campaign because they did
right.
edge off a little bit of it, but for the
Mhm.
most part it's actually like the dice rolls, the perception checks, that like they have all the stuff that the normal D&D game shows or
Correct.
has but Original Sins, like I guess the biggest part is the decision making per the individuals that were playing it could get a
Yes.
little bit tedious and monotonous depending on like
Correct.
how long an individual has to decide on what they're wanting to do. So yeah, so no, so I guess long story
Yeah.
short,
And
yeah,
no,
so
no spoilers, Blue. I mean, I mean, even the start of the game with who you start out with, as far as how do I say without spoiling? It's just it's different. It's very
it's
different.
different.
It's more playing a
The
D&D game on the
answer is
PC.
no. That's what it
Yeah.
is. It is
No.
not like the other one, but
It's good.
get the game, and it's freaking amazing. And like, yeah. So there's a reason why everyone decided to just say we're playing it all. We're playing all of this. It's been 3 weeks and more, and still more people are still playing it.
Yeah.
So there you
And
go.
a lot of my horror community is even playing Baldur's Gate, and they're not huge in D&D or any of that I was aware of. And they're all enjoying it too.
No,
So, yeah, I
yeah,
would
you
say
don't
it's
need to.
different. It's very
Yeah,
different. Night and day game.
yeah, definitely. The way you said it, like you said, your whore community. Yeah, I'm like Jesus. but like,
Horror, not horror. Did I
no,
say
but
hooer, sir? Watch
poor.
yourself.
Okay, but I know y'all don't want to be talking about once again more of a reason for me to be talking about Baldur's Gate for the next 14 hours. So let's go to the normal rigmarole that we like to do each and every week. And as you can see, it's just me and Lex today. Smitty decided to say that he was too far away from the hurricane, so he decided to go to California to be closer to it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Yes. So each of us chooses a topic of discussion through the previous week in the world of video games. The topic would or could be a game itself or something that happened in the gaming industry. And we don't want to talk about it amongst ourselves. We want you, the listeners, the viewers on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Kick, to be a part of the conversation as always. So if you have a question or if you want to chime in on what we're talking about, we encourage that. We want you to type it inside the chat. We want you to make it as interactive as possible. We would love to talk about it amongst everyone that is listening to us live. So you are also part of the show, just letting you know. So so let's get this party started. So let's go with Lex. I know I didn't tell you beforehand.
Me. I had a feeling you were going to do that. It's okay. I was prepared. It's only two of us. It was 50-50, man.
You're like, please let me, please me. Dang it. Okay, but anyways.
Oh, man.
What are you bringing to the
No.
table?
Well, I was going to talk about my experience with playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game, and what that was like. So, if you guys don't know, I am a predominantly horror horror game streamer. I love the spoopies, and the same people who made Friday the 13th, which unfortunately is no longer around. If you have it downloaded though, and you have a custom party, you are still able to play that. Just an FYI, a lot of people didn't know that. But they made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game. Now, I was setting up for stream. I hadn't planned to go on, and I hadn't set up anything as far as stream wise and opening components for about a week or two because I had gotten COVID, and so I was just doing updates and those kinds of things. And if you stream, you know that when you get a new game, before you stream it, you have to open the game up, change some of the settings so that everything runs smoothly. Right when I opened the game, I immediately got sent invites. And so I was like, wait, guys, go ahead and play a few rounds without me. I'm still setting up. And I ended up going live early. I ended up playing with my friend Jago and Soapy, and we were playing as the family. So if you've watched the movie, now this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler. So if you don't want that, now is your time to click out.
Is it
We
really
were
a
playing.
spoiler though? I mean,
I
come
don't
on.
think so. The movie
There's
was what,
four
1974?
there's 4 or 5 different renditions of this
Yeah.
movie, and it's been around for now at this point generations.
Generations. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, I guess that's your fault. So as Davis just pointed out, you can play as the family, as a group, or you can play as survivors. Now, as survivors, you have the option to play as 4 people. As the family, it's 3. Now, I did try to find out if you could do like a custom game mode where you could have 7 friends, 3 as the family, 3 as the survivors. That doesn't seem like it's capable at the moment. What
Hmm.
happened, so we jumped in. I immediately started playing as Sissy. I loved what her synopsis seemed. Now, I will say I don't care for the tutorial system. I like it and I hate it. One, you don't have to play through the tutorial, which I appreciate. But they're video tutorials. Now they do have them sectioned off nicely and very well organized. So if you've been playing but you have a question, because like myself, I only played Killer. I have yet to play Survivor. I don't know what like that experience is like yet. So I was kind of going through the tutorials for if you were a survivor and what that is like and what your goal is, so on and so forth. So I jump into the game with my 2 friends, and we're playing as family. So I play as Sissy, and it immediately shows what her endurance is, what her savagery is, and then, gosh, there's another one. I can't remember at the
Okay,
moment.
but well, like overall though, like I mean, like I guess when you're saying the family, so the family is the
The
people that are on the
killers.
offense. So the families are the killers, so they're the offensive people, and then
Correct.
you're then the visitors are like like the tourists and stuff are the defensive. Like they have to do the tasks, kind of like what you do in DVD.
Correct. So, but you also have tasks as the killer. So, as you get into the match, you as you're walking around, these little blood pools will be highlighted, and it looks like fleshy meat kind of on a stand of a thing dripping into a bucket. So your goal is to collect those blood buckets and feed it to grandpa. So the more blood you give grandpa, the more your perks become activated. So there's different levels of perks, and you set that up as you're waiting to get into the game before you ready up. And you have a skill tree. So you can move your skill tree around, you can change it. Currently, as Sissy, mine is full, and I can't move my skill tree any further. So I'm just upgrading my perks now. So you pick your perks, and especially if you're in a group, I would say it's a lot easier to set your perks so that it's beneficial to everyone. And different ones like, for instance, if you're carrying a full vial of blood, you do 20% more damage in quick attacks, right? So that's just an example.
Mm.
um so you walk around, you're collecting blood, because when the game starts, everybody as far as survivors and Leatherface are all in the basement, and there does have to be a Leatherface on the map. That is key. So the other 2 family members who are playing as killers, you pick out of that roundup. So there's the cook, the hitchhiker, there's Sissy, and then Leatherface, and I believe there's one more killer character. So, whoever is playing Leatherface, then the other 2 base it off of who will work well together. So if you if you stab somebody, you collect blood, obviously, and then once you're done stabbing that person, you go and give it to grandpa. Now you have to stab them obviously a certain amount of time to kill that person, but all of the movements and like for instance, as the killer, you have to start the car battery to get the electric fences going to stop people from escaping, right? So there are little things like that as you go around the map you have to do or check that, the pressure valves haven't been released. If they have, you need to go and find that and stop that gate from opening while also trying to catch these people as they move through the map. Now, once grandpa gets fully juiced up on blood, there is a sonar capability and you can see every person on the map that is a survivor. And so there's nowhere to hide. A big announcement pops up, nowhere to hide. The map is open. And so you're able to see, are they in the house? What level are they on? Are they in the field? Are they near a gate? And everyone can kind of converge and attack and try to stop them from escaping. So it was really interesting. It was very obviously hide and seek game like we've played like with DBD. However, there were different components and it did make it a lot of really interesting. I will say Sissy sings too much, which makes it hard to hear movement near me. If somebody's hiding in the bushes, she's singing, I can't hear it. But it I felt like I would see somebody and I'm running towards them, and another killer is running towards me and should be able to see the survivor in front of them, but just runs completely past me.
Mhm.
And they're like, "Where are they?" I'm like, "You just ran past both of us. What do you mean, where are they? Can you not see?" So maybe my settings are a little better than everyone else's because I was able to change the gamma. I
Mhm.
will say there is no colorblind setting. There is no setting to change the white writing. So it took me, I'd say about an hour and a half to figure out how to work my skill tree because everything is in white writing on a lighter background, more of like a sunset kind of
Mhm.
coloration. Um, Now, if you are expecting a game experience like the movie, you are going to be disappointed because that is not what this is. This is a hide and seek, killers versus survivors with little tasks here and there mingled in between. Is it scary? Um,
I mean,
a li-
you could probably say the
atmospherically,
level,
sure.
maybe the same kind of shock value of scariness is probably the same of the shock value of what DBD would be like, right? Because
I would say a
DBD,
little less.
yeah, oh, okay, yeah, because DBD more has a shock value because it can catch you off guard on where it's
Right.
going. Yeah, but
I would say maybe in the basement, you would have more of the same kind of shock value because you're crawling around in the dark. So neither of you is expecting the other person to bump into each other. So yeah, in that scenario, I would say yes. But as far as the rest of the game, I mean, hearing the chainsaw go off is of course a little unsettling, but
mm,
playing again as a killer, I didn't really feel that. Did Opie run out of the room? Because I get asked that a lot. Opie is our we call it the Opie scale. So DBD, she runs out of the room for sure, depending on certain killers. She did not leave the room for this game. She was very content. None of the sound effects seemed to startle her in any way. So if that gives you a clue, if you guys have been following my Twitch journey, you know that Opie will run if she is startled by a sound effect. Nope, not the case. Uh, was it fun? Yes, it does get very intense. I do enjoy the camaraderie of having to work together as the killer, and I'm sure, of course, that goes for survivors as well, because especially if you're trying to get like the pressure gates open, you have to work in tandem, right? I enjoyed the feel of the game. Again, the storyline isn't really
I don't think it's just really more
part
like a game to
of
really worry
it.
about on the story for per se.
Right.
I
And I
mean,
think because some of the reviews are kind of interesting because people are, there's a lack of knowledge, poor tutorial system. I disagree. It's one-sided difficulty. There's lack of content. Again, it's a hide and seek. I'm
see,
not sure exactly what you were
what does that
expecting.
mean? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to
Right.
me. Like,
There
wait, so
are
like,
3 maps.
okay, so you're saying lack of like they were saying lack of content. Like, what the?
Correct.
like if it's a hide and seek game, are they
Right.
talking about skins? I mean, this is day one of a game that you could possibly put like later on decades of different
Right.
kinds of versions of Leatherhead or Leatherface. Jeez, I'm about to say it again. Leatherface and yeah, Leatherface and like the characters and stuff. I mean,
Right.
it's just possibilities.
I think some people are thinking that this game is going to be a version of you play as the survivor going through the house in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the movie. That is not
Mm,
what that is.
mm,
So I'll read a little bit, and this was just their summary. So, due to lack of knowledge, poor tutorial system, one-sided difficulty. Again, I've had survivors on several occasions get out, and more than one. So I disagree with that.
mm.
Um, a higher price tag than expected.
How much was it?
39.99 is not expensive,
Not bad.
especially for a game. I think again, people were assuming that, oh, because it's Dead by Daylight, that's going to be the price tag.
Mm.
That was a silly assumption. Albeit the sound design graphically it is impressive. It struggles to get me over the hump. Now, I
Okay.
disagree. So,
Well,
as go ahead.
so sorry. I just okay. So like, here's the thing though, because I'm looking at the gameplay right now. This is probably my first time really
Mhm.
looking at it.
Sure,
It,
yeah, I'm
it
watching it with you.
so the gameplay itself, it looks. I
Mhm.
mean, looks like it's DVD, and it clearly isn't because it's a three. Like, what is it? A 3v4 or a three?
3v4.
Okay, so
With
four
one
four
Leatherface.
survivors. Okay, so four is Leatherface a human, or is that a
He's a
NPC?
killer, so he's part of the family, so he's one of the 3 killers,
Oh, I know,
so
but can you
he has to
control
be eliminated.
Leatherface? Can you control
Yeah,
Leatherface? Oh, you
absolutely,
can.
yeah.
Okay.
So one of the 3 killers, one of the 3 people playing killers will decide who's playing Leatherface. I have yet to play him, the boys were, going back and forth with who was playing.
And can the survivors fight against the other people? I mean,
Yes.
you obviously can't fight Leatherface. I mean, Leatherface. I mean, you
No, you
can,
can't.
but it's going to be tougher to
No,
do it.
yeah. Shockingly, and in most games, for instance, and I talk about this all the time, in a lot of horror games, you cannot fight back. Outlast, you
Hmm.
cannot fight. DBD, you can't really fight back. So when I was chasing someone and they punched me in the face and knocked me down, I was shocked, also stunned, obviously. Leland, oh, this is where I discover that yes, the guard gate can shock me. That was not fun. So Leland can essentially punch you in the face and knock you down. Now, as Sissy, I am of course smaller as the compared to the other killers. Obviously, Leatherface is huge, so I don't know if Leland punching Leatherface knocks him down like it does for Sissy or the
Hmm.
cook or the hitchhiker.
Hmm.
But they do get stunned because I could hear, oh, he just punched me in the face, and I knew that they were at that time playing Leatherface in the basement. Um, I believe his name's Donnie, he can poke me in the eye, so it'll come up and I have to spam my F key, and whoever, of course, spams it faster wins that push out, and so a lot of the times I was getting poked in the eye and stunned for a second while they could run off. The girls, I didn't notice any fight back from them, but a lot of the people playing girls as survivors were all, like, level 0 and level 1, at that time, so they could probably have I assume that they have some sort of fighting ability, whether it be small, like poking me in the eye, kicking me in the groin, whatever. Um, but it was interesting. I was absolutely stunned when I got knocked down by Leland. Um, and
Okay.
he got away. I'm like, dang it, because you're stunned for quite a while with Leland. When you get poked in the eye, it's I would say a 5-second difference compared to Leland's, where I'm on the ground, I then get up, I'm still stunned, and I can't chase after him. Versus getting poked in the eye, I stand there, my character goes, "Oh, dang it," and I have to wait 5 to 10 seconds before I can then chase. So you can fight back in this game, which I liked a lot.
That's good.
Now,
I like that. That's a lot. That makes the game very different than what
yeah,
other kind of games like this is. So that's pretty cool.
yeah. It was a lot of fun, and right here I'm getting blood from the bucket, and the whole time we were all talking. So if I'm opening and slamming a door, I'm letting my teammates know, hey, that was me that opened that door. Hey, that
Mhm.
was me, tripping over whatever. That was me turning the light on. So that we were all really coordinated in our attacks. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I did notice.
Wesley, I'm sorry to cut you off again,
Sure, go
sorry.
ahead.
But Wesley on YouTube does actually bring a really good point here. He says that the game does look amazing, but his concern is that as a casual player, he worries about the play, like the curve between, playing against higher level characters, and wish he had the option to play against, AI as an evil, like, what you could do in Evil Dead. Do you
Right.
know? Like, yeah, like, I guess the real question is, do you know, like, or is there a possibility that you can make Leatherface an AI, or
No,
is it, or so they always have, so it's 100%,
no bots.
so it's 100% no bots in this game?
Correct.
Wow, okay,
So
that's
we
kind of
did get
interesting.
in we did get into a few matches where it was 3v3,
Hmm.
where people were dropping out of like the fourth spot and the timer came up, and so it would throw us in. Um, Now, I would say as a casual player, so currently I'm level 12 with Sissy, excuse me. They do want you to play with other characters though. They make that very evident. Um, that they want you to play the cook, the hitchhiker. They want you to get good at Leatherface. They want you to kind of rotate your pattern of killer. Um,
Hmm.
I would say this. There was several times where we had level 1 and 2s against 2 level 12s and a level 10 who were able to escape. So 2 out of the 4 were escaping. Um, some of the obviously different survivors do different things. One of the girls, she runs really fast and it is very hard to catch up to her unless she stops to try to heal herself, and then you're able to stab her, but then she's able to just take off, and you just kind of have to hope and pray that you don't lose sight of her, because once you do, you're not going to be able to really do anything as far as catching up to her,
Hmm.
unless she stops. um yeah, you can request to trade characters. So if you are playing as with just randoms, you can request to play characters. There is an internal system so that you are able to talk with the other people that are playing with you, which I liked. I was able to hear the survivors when we were in the lobby talking to each other, but not in game. So that seems to be kept private. So survivors can hear each other and killers can hear each other via voice chat, but
That's
not
cool.
in game. Yeah. The characters, the dialogue is great. Again, this isn't you playing the movie, right? It's a hide and seek. So the dialogue doesn't really matter. It's for fan fluff, right?
I guess the biggest
Um
the biggest concern I would have had is that, I mean, I've known with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, basically, it's not, they're not, their main concern isn't story. I mean, and that's fine. It's definitely not. It's not story. It's just more like
right.
a versus game. I was more worried about, like, for $40, am I going to be getting just a DVD clone? And it doesn't seem like it. That's the case. That's
No.
definitely not the case. It seems like it's its own standalone kind of game.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
And of course, the maps that they do have available right now are the 3 maps from the movies. So there's the gas station, the house, and one other that I can't think of off the top of my head.
Mhm.
Um, but they are exactly like the movie. So if you're very familiar with them, you'll be very familiar with the maps. Now, of course, the basement is very intricate. There are different areas. I would say for somebody, granted, I play a lot of Labyrinthine. If you've never played that, you are in a labyrinth. You do have a
Mhm.
compass. But the second we get into the game, I'm able to distinguish between north, south, east, and west, whether I've made that directional up in my head or if that's actually where I am. But I've gotten really good at finding my way back. So I think that has helped me with other games where I'm not familiar with maps.
Mhm.
Um, I would say after playing for about an hour, I was about 75% sure in all 3 maps where I was going. Now, different characters do different things. So Sissy can crawl under like barricades and like squeeze through doorways, whereas Leatherface can't do that. But he can like chop down their little burrow escapes so that they can't
Mhm.
get through that. stinks because now I can't get through that, so I have to go around. But that's why you really want to pick and choose what 3 killers you're playing and how they
How you're
work
gonna,
together,
yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
she can go through spaces. The hitchhiker also can't go through all of those, but he can go through some, and Leatherface can break those down. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of want to really get a good dynamic going of who goes. But I think as a casual player, you're not going to have an issue. I would say playing against AI in this game might be more difficult. Um, you are placed each character is placed differently in the map as far as killers and survivors. All survivors go to the basement, but you essentially start in similar places on each map. So my character gets close to the car, so I go and start the car battery. I let my other killers know, and then we continue.
Well,
um
like, well, kind of to wrap it up though, like
yeah,
overall
sure.
though, your overall experience though is if, would you say it's very positive? Would you suggest this to someone to play it or try it out for the first time, or
Absolutely.
willing to spend the
Yeah,
$40 for it?
I really enjoyed it. So I would say I like this more than Evil Dead, even though Evil Dead had separate content for
Evil
single
Dead was
players.
confusingly crazy though.
Very crazy. I could not get past the 3rd trial to save
Mm-hmm.
my life, and I
Mm-hmm.
stopped playing because I got so mad. I would
Mm-hmm.
say I like this more than DBD. I would
Wow,
give
that's
it,
a lot.
yeah, out of 5 stars, I would give it a 4. I enjoy it. I don't think there's a lack of content. I think that playing different characters like they suggest gives you more of an experience
Mm.
because you only have the 3 maps currently. Playing different characters gives you each a different experience every single time. And so you're not feeling like you're just going through the same cycle over and over again. I like that a lot more. I like that there are more things to do as far as killers and moving things, and how hard it is to get your perks to activate. I think a lot of people enjoy this as a hide and seek, as just whether they want to play it all of the time or just some of the time. I think you'll enjoy it, and I
That
liked it a lot.
That's cool. I like that's good. Kind of going back to what Blue Spirit kind of said a couple of things earlier. He was saying, is it no bots or no bots for now? If you know, I really doubt that. It's hard to say because like since this game technically just came out a couple of days ago, is that I guess they have to measure to see what the consistency is of how many people is going to be consistently playing it before they
Right.
decide to switch to that kind of decision. So I mean, I'm not.
Currently,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Currently, no, but like it's not out of the realm of possibility that they would probably get to a point where they say, "Oh, this is there's low community, so we probably may
Right.
need to turn on that bot mode
I
on."
do I do think that if they do, and here this is just a Lex opinion coming straight at you. If they give us bots, it will be for custom gameplay where you have a 7 team, 3 killer, 4 survivors, but maybe you only have 6 people. And then you
Mhm.
would be able to activate a bot and pick which survivor or killer they are.
Yeah.
I think that scenario is absolutely plausible, but currently that is not available for custom games. And so, as far as I am aware, there are no AI, there are no bots.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so it is yeah, a good topic. Well, mine it is my topic now, and I want to talk about something that actually came to me. I didn't even really think about it because I really had no. I guess it's really I didn't really have an interest in playing it myself. But am a fan of the developer studio because it's because one of my favorite comic book artists, Joe Mad, who writes a series called well, man, I just can't. Oh, Battle Chasers, called Battle Chasers. Uh, Made his own video game studio, and
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. The problem is he's been very flaky. Like he started a series that was so good, stops at issue 9 and says, "Hey, you know what? I want to make video games." So he cans his comic book career and decides to be a part of a new IP called Darksiders. Remember originally back in the day. So
Yes.
so he was co-creator of Darksiders for the longest of time. So he's been doing that. Then he eventually decides to say, "Hey, I want to go back to comics." But then he's like, "Oh, you know what? Just kidding. I'm not." So we waited. So he finally made his own studio, Airship Syndicate, down in Austin. Uh, been doing some pretty good stuff down there. Has gotten better, and things been going into the works, which is really good for him. I'm glad for him. And then he decides to say it again. Battle Chasers is coming back again, and to his credit, it finally came back. All I had to do was wait 20 years for it to come back from the first from
20? That's crazy.
Yeah, from number 9 to number 10. That's what it was. So they made a brand new game. Excuse me while I get this set up. Yeah, they made a brand new game. It's called Wayfinders. So Wayfinders was going to be a first-person shooter MMO RPG that well, not first person, I'd say third person shooter that had a story and stuff, that was supposed to be like, you know, massive world, able to have a lot of different multiple people to be playing, doing different kinds of tasks, quests and stuff like that. Game looks really good. Like the cell shades and everything look like a fairly good game. I just didn't have time to play it myself personally. But there's just one slight problem. The games, they underestimated the amount of people that were going to go and play this game day one. Let alone, actually, it's not even true. This is early release technically. The official release is this week, I believe. And it has been such a nightmare show. And thanks to Doc, because I've been talking to Doc about this whole weekend about it, and he's been cataloging it this whole time. That the stuff that's been happening on this, the stuff that's been constantly happening here for this game has been nightmarish. It's like, okay, so because like I've said a long time ago that game of an MMO RPGs is probably not only one of the most expensive games to make, because it's always games that it is a automatic games as a service, but it's also one of the hardest because you don't know what your expectations is of what your community is going to be about, like, because the game itself isn't out yet. So you have to guess. You have to guess, and you have to have an educated guess about like okay, these people came here for the free beta. This is how many people are probably going to be here and stuff like that.
Right. You have to estimate how many people will be on the servers.
Exactly, because server costs for these kind of games are not cheap. So they always want to undervalue the amount of people, because as always, there's always going to be a decline after the week 2 and so on and so forth. So they always want to have less than what they're wanting instead of having more than what they're using. But the problem is this game alone has there was issues on their server because of the overflow of people that were wanting to go at the same time, that was causing the queues to go insanely crazy. So there was I think it was Friday was the first day. I was trying to look at the information about it, and their queue numbers were at over 20,000, 20 to 30,000.
I saw your Twitter post of, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Which, as a child, hearing that as a child, that was the worst thing you could ever hear from your parents. So when I saw that you were in queue and you were like 17,000 and something, I was like, oh no, I don't know what that is, but he is not happy at the moment.
No,
that's crazy.
Here's the thing. That wasn't even me, because like I said, I wasn't planning on playing it. That was Doc. Doc was in queue. No. Well, yeah. So Doc, and actually, I think Doc's experience is even worse on it itself. So what happened was that so he was not able to get in the game at all for the next 2 days.
Okay. And when was this released? I'm sorry, Wednesday?
Friday, I believe. It was early release if you bought it. So he
this
wasn't able
Friday?
to. Yeah, this past Friday, like 2 days ago.
Okay, so the 18th. Okay.
Yeah. So so he wasn't able to get in for the first 2 days. This morning, he decides to say, okay, let me get inside the queue again. He was when I did the screenshot, I think it was at 17,000. Or when he did the screenshot, it was 17,000. He had to wait 2 hours in that active queue just to get inside the game, right? He gets inside the game, he chooses a character, he realizes the character isn't a good fit for him. He wanted to change someone else, And then he said, okay, let me try a different character. Guess what? Game kicks him
He
out.
puts it back in the queue. Oh no!
Yeah, game kicks him out. He's back in the queue of 20,000 again, and he decides to wait. And God bless you, Doc, for this. I know you're here on Twitch. But like I was like, I don't know how you're not pissed off on this point. So he waits in the queue again because he needed to change his character 2 hours again. Then he got a chance to play again for like an hour. Right, he plays for an hour. He's actually kind of getting the feel of the game, and then it kicks him out again a third time. And then I was like, how are you even I would have been giving my money back, dude. This is insane. So here's the thing about this. Sorry, I would say that's a lot of players. It's definitely a lot of players. Here's the thing about this, and I hate it when people I won't say I hate it, but you give a company a little bit of leeway because yes, it's day one. Day one bugs always happens all the time. No, there's no way to escape. Yeah, to escape that.
I was experiencing that with TCM on Friday. It happens.
Yeah, it happens, and that's fine. But like my problem is that, dude, this game has this many people. They pointed out that they found that there was failures on multiple levels to cause these queues to go to happen, and yet at the same time they decided to cap their servers so they can at least have the people that are able to get in to play the experience, to play for its experience. You know what? You did what you need to do to play your game, but at the same time, your game is broken. You need to stop selling it. At that point, you need to stop selling it because there's no reason, because you can buy the game. The game is only $20 as a base game. If you want to buy the complete package, like for all of the expansions and stuff that's going to come for this game, $149. $149 for people to hurry up, to play this game. And then if you ended up picking up this game, picking this up, because I know there's whales that definitely did. That's definitely spent this kind of cash because they know who the developer is. A-Strip Syndicate is usually pretty good. Yeah. Then you're really you need to do something back on this, because that is insane. What were you going to ask, Lex?
So, okay, obviously this is early access. They didn't account for how many people would be on the servers. Getting in the game itself, obviously we're getting firsthand accounts from Doc. So we are only going based off of his experience and then getting thrown back into the queue after a 2-hour wait and picking a character he wasn't happy with. For the people that are getting into the game, is it broken for them? Or is this just a long queue scenario that will die down in a few days, like we did with Outsiders?
First off, okay, I will say I don't think it's early what's it called? It's not early access, it's early release. That's what I meant.
Early release.
So the game, the game is done, and it was supposed to be ready. But the consensus is specifically long queues, is if people are lucky enough, but because you remember how last week we were talking about how bad Overwatch 2 had the bombs on Steam. I think they're at 100, and now they're at 150,000 overwhelmingly negative reviews on this. This game itself is hitting around already about, I think it's hitting about 10 to 12,000. So it's just, well, actually, you know what, I'll pull it up. I just think overall, everything that's been going on with this game itself has just seemed like it's just been wrong. And that's what I've just been like, wow, dude, I understand failure, and I understand that you can give someone some sort of level of leeway. But this is way too bad. Yeah, it's almost at 10,000 negative reviews right now because of it.
I'm curious what they say now.
What do you mean? Oh, what they say on the review? Oh, you know, it's I love going on. I'm starting to go. I'm starting to love going on Steam to check what their reviews are, but I shouldn't. But some people are pretty creative. Okay, so like, let me see if I can get a good one.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious of what the majority is saying because Doc is saying that he believes that it's just a long queue issue that they didn't account for how many people would be on the servers. My curiosity is for the people that are getting in through the queue and actually playing the game and not being kicked out. What is
Mhm.
their experience like? You know what I mean? Like, is the
Yeah,
game
they're
itself
saying, is
broken
the
or is
game
it just the
itself
queue?
broken, or if it's just the
Correct.
server connections? I think it's clear that it's a server issue. It's not a game. Well, for now, it's not the game issue
So the
because they're
game
saying,
itself looks good.
because from what I'm saying, from what I'm seeing, it's hard to see. Let me see if I can find a guy who's not sarcastic on here.
Me.
This guy named Sheffy on the Steam says, so I have mixed feelings about this game, but overall it's very good. The launch of the early access is one of the worst I've ever witnessed, but just because of a terrible launch you shouldn't write the game as bad. And I would agree to disagree on that. It's very hard. I'm just saying, in this time and in this day and age, if you bomb at your initial
It's hard to come back.
release, it's really hard to come back. It is a first impression basis on that, because
Right.
the biggest problem is that yes, if the game is good, it's a damn shame that most people are not going to play it. But if you mess up with certain things like this, luckily, I will say this: it's early
Mhm.
access, it's early release.
Right.
So this isn't the official release of the game, but they know now that they need to fix whatever their issues are with the server connections and then their authentications, because they were trying to do
Right.
some temporary fixes that just all failed. Like, I believe
Mhm.
Doc, you sent me a picture earlier about like what they did on the process. They did like 4 or 5 different things and all of it failed. So
Huh.
yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
and to clarify, so for people who don't know, when you as a game developer request a server and you say how many people you are expecting to come, again, you usually drop that number down because that's not what you're going to get. In
Mm-hmm.
this case, that is incorrect. They got 20,000 plus more people than they expected, right? So fine. Opie, stop digging. Um, the problem then is you can't, as the developer, turn around and just go, hey, can you make our server bigger? It doesn't really work that way. You're either like the server that you were in, that you were dedicating for your players on the game, has a certain number and it has a max. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just have somebody on it at a desk somewhere else click the number and magically add to that. So that's definitely an issue. And I see what you
Yeah.
mean. I think I am curious again, since it is early access, early release, if once they do get the server issues fixed, because it seems that this game does have a loyal base
Mm-hmm.
already, if people will come back to it. And you're right, it is a first impressions. I mean, what was the vampire game? Redfall.
Oh
I
God.
haven't gone back and played Redfall at all. It I was very upset with how the game itself was. I thought the commercials for it were just, oh, so this is a commercial where they're showing a picture and they're zooming in and out and there's text. Nope, that's the game. So I think with this,
There's a
from
difference with
what I
that.
just read on
Yeah.
the reviews, there's a big difference. The game is good, it's ready, the server wasn't, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah. I mean,
So hopefully it doesn't kill it.
it's hard. Like, I think gamers are. It's hard to see if gamers are forgiving for these kind of things. It's really tough. But
It depends, I feel
if
like.
if the game gets
Fandoms are
good,
different.
yeah, it's very true. If the game does have a good, like, step backup, not backup, but more like, balance of connection. But
Mhm.
you know what, I will say this though, because of people who have played it, who actually got in the game and played the
Played
game
it.
itself, and then they
Mhm.
are saying that they're experiencing a pretty good, they're having a good experience playing it.
Right.
Maybe that's going to be their saving grace,
I
because
think
like
so.
yeah, because I think it's just the authentications issues, and then I think with mixture on the fact that this is over the weekend, it's like it's going to get better. But at the same time though, the experience of a person to get inside the game, wait 2 hours in a queue just to get kicked out again, to wait 2 hours to a queue to just get kicked in again, is a little bit is not forgiving to me. I like that's that. Well, for me, I would probably just say, you know what, deuces, I'm not touching this game at all with the stick. So it's crazy. Evil Business on YouTube says, I don't think I ever saw a commercial for Redfall. Yeah, they didn't really do a good job, I mean, of really advertising overall on the
I
outsides, except for
Yeah.
commercials through YouTube advertisement, social media and
Mhm.
stuff. But it was big. The reason why it was so big was I mean, Bethesda was backing a lot of money in on it, and yet you just
Yeah.
got like, yeah, you got crap for what Bethesda put
Mhm.
in.
It
So
was not
yeah,
done.
yeah,
I saw a commercial for it on Hulu. I think it
hmm,
was a 20-second commercial on Hulu. And then I did some investigating because I was like, Redfall, that looks
yeah,
good.
that's
And
true.
so I looked at it, and then because of the podcast and us discussing it, I saw the different renditions of their promos, um, which the promos looked fine. However, um I in my mind thought, oh, this still that they're showing is just for the promo, when in
Yeah,
reality that's the game, where they make certain areas, it's almost like comic book, like a comic book page, and they zoom in and zoom out of
hmm,
two people talking to each other. But when I pay $60 for a game, that is not what I'm looking for, especially not when you were toting that it was going to be a different experience.
yeah.
So Redfall is kind of it's in its realm for games that have failed this year because the game itself wasn't done.
It was just
And
bad. Yeah,
we it we've had so many games this year just come out and they were absolutely awful. They they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna give you a complete game for $60. You're paying $60 and you're getting maybe $5 worth of a game."
Lord of the Rings
And
Golem. Yeah,
Right. We've had that continuously happen. And so I think, of course, our
yeah.
fear is that that would be the case with this. When I'm looking at Steam, that doesn't seem like what's going on again.
It just
It
seems like
seems like
it's
it's just
yeah.
a queue issue.
It seems like a Q issue, especially. So I think it'll
Mhm.
be a Jonan K. What's up, Jonan K? Says, I mean, Final Fantasy 14 recovered, and yeah, Final Fantasy
Yeah,
14 did recover, but look at
it
what
has
they
a bigger
had to.
base.
No, look what they had to do. They had to fire the original cast of Final Fantasy 14 completely, get a person from the outside by the name of Yoshi P to resurrect a whole background story of it, completely retcon everything that they did it. Like, it took them 5 years. I mean, it took them forever to get into that point for them to reset. I mean, it wasn't a server issue in itself. It was just normal like way of life for that whole game itself to go at it, which was like, those are the and even in that case scenario, it's few and far between when stuff like that happens. I mean, like, you could really name like a lot, like very few games that kind of have that second wind to get even more better throughout the years. Because I remember when that happened, I was like, I am not touching this game after I played, because I was original 14, and I was like, I'm not touching this game even though it's coming back again. But hey, but because of the help of the next set team, it was like, okay, they they fixed everything back up.
Yeah. Well, and it seems that a lot of people are really mad who are the whales that bought the founders pack,
Oh,
because they're
definitely.
saying that there are
Oh,
things missing when they are finally getting into the game, and then that seems to have been fixed, and they're following through the Discord, and then of course the queue is taking so long that now they're upset. Which, granted, I absolutely understand, because if you get into the game and you start, you can lose items, etc.
mhm.
I
No, I
It
mean, like,
looks really
hey,
good.
it is what it
Again, it's
is.
not my genre, but
I don't think that it's going to be, like you're saying, I don't think it's a quality of the game kind of issue. I think it's just on the
exactly.
back end side. And I think that we can
Yeah.
agree. And then until, like, Doc, you let me know how overall, once you're able to, like, consistently and stay in the game for longer than an hour to see where it's going
Sustainably.
to be at. Because, like, this is, like, yeah, because, like, Airship Syndicate does good stuff. I mean, I've always
Right.
liked what they did, what they've done. I mean, on their own,
Mhm.
it's really saddening to see that, like, they're having these kind of issues.
You
For
know
it. The
what it
characters
kinda
look pretty
reminds
tight.
me of is, like, the design of, like, the towns really looks like Lost in Random
Hmm.
without that little bit of spooky element. It's really cute. I mean, the design looks fantastic. Again, as far as games are concerned, if it's a long queue versus an incomplete game, because people are in Steam um writing reviews saying, isn't this fraud? No, it's not fraud. If the game is complete, you're good.
Yeah,
Redfall, absolutely fraud.
that was
It
fraud.
wasn't a complete game. It's a totally different scenario. So hopefully they recover.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna
You
be good.
never know.
We'll definitely see where that's gonna go, but I am very interested in seeing where it's gonna be, like where it's gonna land. I hopefully it does have a good shelf life, because you know what I'm scared of, and I'm pretty sure Doc will understand it too. Was like,
Mhm.
I hope it's not gonna be like how Outriders was, because Outriders
Oh, screw
was,
Outriders.
yeah, like because that's what I was like. Hopefully, like, I mean, even though Outriders issue was identity, was an identity issue, like, but still the hype of it was like, was definitely was way more than what it offered, and hopefully that's what
Correct.
I hope I didn't have. Yeah, hopefully this doesn't be the same way, because I've heard a little bit about Wayfinders. I just never really cared or wanted to try for it. So
Mhm.
we'll definitely see. I constantly say that the first week is going to be rough, but it looks so deep. I'll look deep. Yeah, definitely do it. Yeah, definitely keep us in the loop on that. That'd be very good.
Make an
Uh,
update.
yeah. All right. So we got the last topic, and we're gonna do actually something a little different since Smitty is
Mhm.
not here. It's actually funny. Before the show, Blue Spear, who
Mhm.
checks us on the show, sent Lex something. So Lex, why don't you start it out?
Sure. So we've all heard of Fortnite. We all make fun of people who play Fortnite. I'm just kidding. Uh, Interesting. And this comes from the New York Times. Uh, a Holocaust museum in Fortnite. Superheroes and atrocities collide. Um, so, by opening its popular servers to player creations, Epic Games has taken on a role of vetting how sensitive topics are displayed. Now, there is a checklist of precautions that needed to enforce before opening the doors of this virtual Holocaust museum in the video game Fortnite. No shooting, no shouting, no breakdancing, and of course, they don't mention it here, but tagging, because in the game you can tag. Those absences defy the normal rules of one of the world's most popular games, where players can dress like googly eyed hamburgers to exchange gunfire with John Wick and Batman, etc. But Epic Games, eager to keep people on its Fortnite servers as much as possible, has opened up real estate in its virtual worlds to almost anyone with an idea. Now, the publisher, which was not involved in developing the Holocaust Museum but advertised Bernard on how to follow its content guidelines, finds itself vetting sensitive topics that can become public relation fiascos with a single misstep. The risk of propagating historical inaccuracies has also concerned Holocaust educators, although several are supportive of the attempt to reach younger audiences. With the rise of Holocaust denial and other forms of anti Semitism, it is important that new generations worldwide learn the truth of the Holocaust. Sarah Bloomfield, director of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, said in a statement. Online opportunities can help advance that goal, she continued. At a time of declining trust overall, museums, because they display authentic items, are still trusted sources of information. Maintaining that trust requires rigorous adherence to historical accuracy. After this virtual museum opened to the public this week, Bernard welcomed the New York Times on a tour of Voices of the Forgotten, which is what the museum is called, which promises to teach visitors about the heroes who saved Jewish lives during the Holocaust and also the Jewish members of the resistance. His avatar happened to be dressed like Spider Man, and a few curious players wandered into the gallery with their own get ups and names like Dr. Llama Lord. The
Oh my
museum's
gosh.
architecture resembles a modern mansion outside of Miami with large windows and a reflective marble floor. Beyond the small lobby, the exhibit begins. Now, obviously, they continue with this. So,
Mm.
right off the get go, Davis and I, before we read any of that, said time and place, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, we play video games as an escape. Obviously, we are an older generation. We were taught about the Holocaust in schools. We know how important in history that learning about that is, because again, history likes to repeat itself. It's one of the worst atrocities of humankind, and it is important that people do learn about it. Do I want to learn about it in Fortnite?
Absolutely not.
No, no, I don't.
You know what's actually kind of what's really interesting to me is that they okay, well, because like I was thinking to myself that how to access this is this is not readily access like accessible if you're
It is
in
accessible
Fortnite.
right now.
Like so
Nope, it is.
so if you go into Fortnite, you can go and then you choose them. You select
Yep.
that person's map, and then they'll let you in. Okay,
No, not like that. It's kind of like real estate added on. So imagine the map, from what I understand. Imagine the map, right? And then they can expand that map outward, right? And you can almost like you're purchasing real estate, right? Like, okay, so the city of Las Vegas is here, but I want to get a house outside of town and do this with it. Kind of the same scenario from what I understand. And they have turned off things like talking and all of that.
they basically turned off the game. I mean, it essentially did. They basically
Yeah,
turned off
it's more of
everything.
just a quick walk through. And here, this is
That's
funny.
kind of,
Hate
oh, I'm
hate
sorry.
is rising worldwide. I think we need tools to make people more empathetic, Bernard said while wearing sunglasses and puffing from a vape during a Zoom call.
Oh my god.
He noted that
Oh
hundreds of millions
Jesus.
of dollars have been spent on Holocaust museums, but that only 20% of Americans have actually visited one. One of the pictures and placards within the Fortnite Museum focuses on a lesser known aspect of the Holocaust in which about 6 million Jews were killed, as well as figures who might escape the lens of a traditional institution. Bernard 37, oh my God, has dedicated sections of the Tripolitania riots. I hope I pronounced that correctly. One of the bloodiest attacks against Jews in North Africa. And William Aaron Diaz, a member of the Dutch resistance against the Nazis. Again,
What
time
the
and
frick is
place.
going on? Okay, dude. Okay, seriously. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn about the Holocaust in any way, shape, or form, because I think it's
Right.
something
Because
that
there are a
is
lot.
very viable to do it. But dude,
Right.
you right. It just comes down to time and freaking place. You don't go on Grand Theft Auto, playing Grand Theft Auto, and then all of a sudden deciding to say, "Hey, what do you think about euthanasia?" Or
Right.
something like that.
Or
It's just
going or going to, a Martin Luther King memorial inside of Grand Theft Auto after you just shot up a gang. I don't I
what the
don't
hell
I
is that?
I just don't I guess I don't understand it. And yes, there are a lot of Holocaust deniers. I've met a few and they're not great people. Um I just I don't I guess I don't understand. Again, knowledge is power. I've always said this. The more you know, the better you are equipped to live your life, right? Uh, Fortnite? Just
It's just so weird. It's like, oh my
fucking
god,
Fortnite?
Fortnite, like with the punk kids and stuff like that, and you're trying to,
Right.
you're. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand what your logic on why you're wanting to do this, because yes, it captivates a lot of people to do that kind of thing. In fact,
Mhm.
if you wanted to make a game that showed this kind of thing, for like if you absolutely wanted to make a game to show like the horribleness of the Holocaust, I would have thought, well,
Right.
shit, why don't you just do Roblox at this point,
Right.
or something like that. It's just so weird that you would decide to say like, okay, guys, we're gonna put this in Fortnite. By the way, you can't build anything, you can't shoot anything, you can't tag anything, you can't do dances, you can't talk to people. You turn off the game of the game that you're inside, essentially in itself. It's like you
Right.
gotta, like, if you're gonna go to that extent to show this off, to say we need this to let people be aware
Mhm.
of the Holocaust, then you might need to find a better way of doing that, because that is not going to work at all.
Right. Well,
What the hell?
and the commentary in the chat is, I would rather play this. I would rather see this museum in GTA over Fortnite because there is RP. I agree. RP stands for role play for those of you who are not super nerds.
Mm-hmm.
It makes more sense to have it in Overwatch. I agree. Because a lot of the content in Overwatch is about genocide, etc.
And the
I
story,
don't
like, yeah.
Fortnite is being silly with your friends, and it's a shoot 'em up. It just doesn't
With
it doesn't make sense, and there's not a lore.
When I saw the
translate
picture, of when I sent you the link of the article,
Spider-Man.
and I was like, "Is this the right link?" Because it was literally like a hall, like a classy hall, and then there was a dude dressed up as Miles Morales Spider-Man, and I'm like, "Is this right?" Because it doesn't even seem right. Like it didn't even look right to me.
Nope, it is.
So yeah, it is unbelievable that's where we're at right now, just to get people's attention to something serious like that. I mean, that's unfortunate, man. If you're wanting to, if you're like, there has to be I just think that if this is a true issue that you're experiencing, and you're wanting to be people have more eyes on other people to be aware that this happened, there has to be better ways for you to do it than what you decide to do on this. It doesn't even make any lick of sense on why you would do it this way, but.
And further down the article, too, it says, the information in the museum is limited to a few short sentences about each topic. Bernard, who has worked in the gaming industry for more than a decade, confirmed that he used Wikipedia, and without elaborating, said he double-checked that the information was correct through other sources. Cite your fucking sources. I would love to know. Please cite your sources. Because if you're inaccurate, that causes a whole other load of problems. This year, he's also released a game called The Light in the Darkness that focuses on educating young people about the Holocaust. This is, okay, I know what it is. This is his way of advertising his fucking game through another game. That's exactly what this is.
That's probably what it is. So I would agree.
This is a PR stunt to advertise his game through fucking Fortnite. Sorry, pardon my language. I'm mad.
That is really weird. That is really, really, really weird. And secondly, you say your sources is like you're using Wiki as a source. You never use Wiki as a source.
You can't use that in a college essay. Wikipedia is not always accurate. You need to go to a library. You need to check out books. You need to make sure those books are accurate.
Yeah.
Because just because it's written down, whether it be on the internet or in a book, doesn't mean that it is always truth.
It's always true. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's actually kind of funny
because, like, remember tomorrow about Davies, and it'd be absolutely false.
It's like and
I could publish it.
Stuff up. It's actually kind of crazy too, because you remember, like, even prior to that, I think our first source of this article was from Wiki, and I was like, nah, I gotta find a credible source. I need a credible source on this.
Right. And that's
they
what
can
did,
make some
you
stuff
look
up.
For another source.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, New York Times posted this on this too." It's like, okay, that's
this also posted it, and this is accurate. Great.
Okay,
I mean, CNN's not posting, but we double checked it that we had at least 3 credible sources that were talking about this before we decided to add it as our third top. Oh my God, I'm mad.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Well, first off, I think this is ridiculously a ridiculous thing. Just it's done its job. We're talking about it, but unfortunately, it's not what the kind of thing that we're wanting to talk about. We're kind of thing we're forced to talk about. Like, talk about the real issue of that is not at hand. So it's so terrible, dude. That's just it's so bad. Anyways, we'll stop that. We'll stop it at this point. It's just the anger alone. Because at first, when someone said, "Oh, the Holocaust Museum inside Fortnite," I thought it was a joke. I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah. I didn't think I would get down the article and it would say that they already created a game. I mean, this is more than almost 3/4 of the way down the article. This should have been at the top of the article, because that clearly, again, intention. Intention is always, you always want to start with intention. What was their intention? Why would you do such a thing? Oh, for knowledge? Great. Okay. But then to find out that you have created a game about this topic just makes it seem like you're a fucking sleazeball. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm mad. You're profiting off people dying. Okay, cool. Great. Love it.
Folks, Thank you for listening to episode number 187 of the CFG Game Cast. Thank you for being a part of the conversation as always. We will be back again next weekend with a brand new week of topics there. But in the meantime, if you did miss out on this previous episode, or on this episode, not the previous one, but on this episode, that is perfectly all right. We release it on all podcast services. We're on Apple, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Podbean, all podcast services out there. So there is absolutely no reason to miss out on all sexy voices. Oh. Yes, sir. Thank you. And be sure to check out our main website, confreaksgeeks.com, or go to our brand new apparel shop, the CFG.store, to be for subscription, some awesome swag like t-shirts and stickers and stuff like that. So definitely check that stuff out. We'll put some new updates inside our chats here later this week. But once again, this is Davis Lex signing off. Y'all, take it easy.
Bye.